Next speaker, Richard. This is Richard Tate with Hope Lab and Zamzee. He's the Director of Communication and Marketing. Richard manages products marketing for the nonprofit Hope Lab and the for-profit social enterprise of Zamzee. Hope Lab works to harness the power and appeal of technology to drive positive health behavior in young people. This year, with the support of Hope Lab, Zamzee will launch its digital platform and online rewards program powered by physical activity. Big hand for Richard.
Thank you, Tom. We are not currently part of the HOPSports family, although we know Tom and Cindy quite well, and we love what you guys are doing. I'm going to preview for you the Zamzee product that we're going to be launching a little bit later this year. But as you heard from Tom's introduction, I'm here wearing a couple of different hats. I'm here with Hope Lab, which is a nonprofit research organization, and Zamzee, which is launching a product this year. We think this is an innovative collaboration to bring to market an evidence-based product that actually encourages kids to move more. I'm going to preview for you what that product is, but before I do that, I wanted to share a little bit with you about how we understand our customers. We've talked a little bit about this problem of obesity, and as Hope Lab, as the research end of this partnership, began to think about what kinds of products might we bring forward that actually encourage kids to move more, we realized we needed to answer this question. In order to move kids, we really have to understand them. How do we move not just kids who are already physically active, who are already inclined to participate in sports, but those kids who really are at risk of sedentary behavior, the ones that don't have opportunities to play, who perhaps are moving around but they don't think of it as physical activity or exercise. How do we encourage them to think differently around moving around? So before I introduce you to the product, I want to share with you a little bit of work that Hope Lab conducted that really has been instructive to us as we both develop the Zamzee product and as we think about rolling it out in the coming year. Basically what we did is that we did a little bit of what we call human factors research, and we went out and we actually spent time, several months, with teens across the country to understand what the obstacles and the barriers, as well as the opportunities to engage them in physical activity are in their everyday lives. We asked them lots of questions, not just about physical activity, but what actually occupies their day. And based on those conversations, we began to look for patterns. And those patterns emerged into basically 8 archetypes that we found around kids and physical activity. And I'm not going to go through every single profile here, but you see mapped on this little spectrum here 8 behavioral profiles according to the level of risk for sedentary behavior. In the top right quadrant here, you see these are kids who tend to be less at risk because they're already active. You see these kids that we refer to as born to run. These are the natural athletes who, at 14, 15, 16, get social recognition and are honored and recognized for their physical activity. They actually aren't necessarily at risk for sedentary behavior. Similarly, busy bees, and we all know these kids, they're very scheduled. They're going from clarinet practice to swim lessons. They're moving around a lot just by virtue of their schedule, not kids who are greatly at risk. But in the bottom left quadrant, you see here a group of kids who really are at risk. The missing out kids, kids who are in environments that tend to be lower SES, where they don't have access to safe play places. These are kids who have responsibilities at home. We used to call them latchkey kids, but today they're kids who are at home watching their siblings because their parents are out working. Those kids are at risk of sedentary behavior, and if we really want to move the needle on the social issue of obesity, we have to not only reach the kids who are already active, but we've got to inspire and provide opportunities for these kids in this lower quadrant to be more physically active. So this work really got us to thinking about how do you create a system or a product that motivates kids to move based on where they are right now, whether you're an athlete or whether you're a kid who really wants to be moving around but doesn't have opportunity to engage with lots of products or programs that provide them with that opportunity. And that's really what has drove the development of Zamzee. So let me describe it to you. We are basically introducing a digital platform that turns all of the fun stuff that kids can do with the products that we're talking about today, the Beamfit, the T-Bow, all of these technology-based products, taking that fun activity and translating it into fun stuff that kids want. So the system is an online platform that takes physical activity data, translates that into points in a currency that kids can redeem for things that they want. Both virtual goods, things like badges, the opportunity to level up, all of the game-based mechanics that kids are familiar with, social recognition in an online community, but also gives them currency to get things that they want, like merchandise or physical product, or perhaps even a gift card to a store that they like. We know that kids, as they move into this sort of adolescent and early teen years, they are socially inclined, they're engaged with technology, and they also are looking for different ways to be motivated. Sometimes the fun can be, a dangling carrot for that fun can be actually rewarding kids for getting up and moving around more. When we launch next year, the part that will collect the data is this Zamzee activity meter, a 3-axis accelerometer that kids can wear anywhere on their body that records their activity data. And this is specially calibrated to record the way that teens move. So adults work out. Maybe they're moving around for 20, 30, 40 minutes. But some teens are dancing in their room for 2, 3, 5 minutes. That's physical activity. That's good for you. You do enough of that, and you'll be healthier because of it. And the Zamzee activity meter in the platform actually rewards that level of movement for kids. Basically, this exchange is all about turning fun, physical activity into fun stuff that kids want. Here's just a little scenario. This is Courtney here, someone that we've been working with in product development. Courtney hears about Zamzee at school in this scenario, and she goes online, she starts her account. This is basically how it works. She reads what it's about, she has a free account, she can see sort of how the system and the community works. She basically convinces her mom, let's get a Zamzee activity meter, I want this. And then she just wears it. She goes about her day. Courtney's not an athlete. She doesn't participate in organized sports. She loves dancing. She loves watching YouTube videos, learning the latest dance moves. That's physical activity, and now she's getting rewarded for it. She plugs in her Zamzee at the end of the day to the USB device, and she earns points that she can actually translate into currency. You see here in this scenario, she's moved around, let's say, for a few weeks with Zamzee, and she's getting a $5 gift card to Target. That is the system that we think can actually move the needle to incentivize kids to engage with these technology-based products that drive fitness, to actually get them to move around more. Hope Lab, the nonprofit partner of Zamzee, is a research-based organization, so we've actually run several randomized controlled clinical trials to understand whether or not products like this actually work. At this point, we've run 16 studies with about 400 kids, and we've seen that kids who have the Zamzee experience, this digital platform that rewards them and incentivizes movement, kids are moving around about 30% more. That is huge. Kids with the Zamzee are running around about the equivalent of an additional marathon a month of physical activity. And if we can sustain that and scale that across a population of kids, millions of kids in this country, we really can make a dent in this obesity epidemic. So Zamzee is also talking to kids to really refine this product over the next several months before we roll it out in the second half of the year. But one of the things that's really important to us is what we're actually hearing from the kids. Kids really are motivated by an opportunity to earn things, things that maybe their parents won't necessarily provide for them, but their parents recognize that if you're moving around for this, this exchange makes sense to parents as well. Most importantly, kids are talking about how a system like this gets them to think differently about physical activity. This technology engagement begins to make them aware that physical activity is fun. In and of itself, it's good for you. And suddenly they're doing physical activity, they're moving around because they want to, not just because they're being rewarded for doing it. So we look forward to introducing the product later this year. You can go to zamzee.com for updates. And I'm really interested in hearing more about some of these other products that might actually feed into a system like this. Thank you.